Geeta's flight has landed at the Delhi airport. She landed in a Pakistan International Airlines flight 272 from Karachi to Delhi. She is returning from Pakistan as she accidentally crossed over to that country 15 years ago. It's a happy homecoming for Geeta. You can see these are pictures on the right-hand side of your screen from earlier in the day when she was in Karachi. She's smiling, waving everyone goodbye as she's been taken care of by the Edhi family. The family which actually took care of her in Karachi, in Islamabad, in Karachi, in fact, in Pakistan, is also accompanying Geeta. On the left-hand side of your screen are pictures from the Indira Gandhi International Airport, where there is security presence. There is a massive team-up of the Ministry of External Affairs officials as well as officials of the Pakistan High Commission. They will be receiving Geeta, and then after that, a number of things that have been scheduled through the course of the day. She's expected to come out any minute now. We'll try going across to Smita Sharma, Anindo Banerjee, Maushmi Singh, a whole host of reporters, as well as Kaswar Kalasra, who is with Geeta at this moment inside the airport. He took that flight from Karachi to Delhi. Anindo Banerjee now joins us on the phone line with all the latest. Anindo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, Anindo, if you could tell us a little about what the schedule is going to be from here on.
Well, Sanket, right now, once she touches down, and as we realize that PK272 has touched down on IGI, she'll come out and she'll be greeted and welcomed by the functionaries from both the EMI as well as the embassy of Pakistan, and then she'll be taken to the Jawaharlal Nehru Bhavan. That's what we are given to understand. And then her blood sample will be taken for DNA test. That will be sent to the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. A team led by Sudhir Gupta will do the checks not only with the family of that claims to be the family that is Janardhan Mahato, but also the other three families, and it will be decided in a course of time, which is around 15 to 20 days from now, that who the real family is. And then later 3 p.m. there is a press conference scheduled, and later in the evening Abdul Basit along with his wife is hosting Geeta in a very good gesture that she has come back to India. So this is a whole very elaborate plan for Geeta throughout the day.
Absolutely. There's an elaborate plan, but as you also mentioned, that there will be a DNA test that the government will conduct. Despite the fact that Geeta seems to have identified Mr. Janardhan Mahato as her father, but the government does not want to take any chances because the government is to some extent confused and not really clear as to whether Janardhan Mahato is the biological father, because they don't seem to be, or the story that they are narrating does not seem to add up. Let's go across to Smita Sharma now. Smita, the point that you were mentioning just a short while ago is that the government does not want to take any chances at this moment, and that is why these DNA tests.
This is a story, Sanket, which is being followed very, very closely both in India and in Pakistan. The story clearly has that emotional, passionate connect. The story is a story of hope for several hundreds of, such Geetas who are stranded in India and Pakistan, but who have perhaps not been lucky enough to have got that political push at the highest level following, of course, the release of some blockbuster. So, the government of India needs to be very careful the way it treads out here, because at the end of the day, also remember, the government will be supporting Geeta here on in terms of taking care of her. There will be perhaps a monetary, sort of aspect to it as well. And the government would not want that families should come and make these claims, because remember, most of the families that have come out, they're families essentially which have a very poor background economically. They're not well-to-do families. So they wouldn't want Geeta to be claimed by families just for some monetary aspect, because those things also happen. That is the harsh reality of life. One needs to factor that in as well. Clearly, which is the reason why the government wants to make sure that the DNA tests are in place, and it's not just about a photograph that the family gets together. I was speaking to India's High Commissioner to Pakistan, TCA Raghavan, just last week, and he did mention that, this was like trying to find a needle in a haystack in terms of trying to zero in, because remember, Sushma Swaraj had first approached chief ministers and asked them to try and look up in their states for missing persons reports. The chief ministers then forwarded some of the claims made by these families, some 4 or 5 of them from states including Bihar, Jharkhand, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan as well. So, and then these sets of photographs were sent across to Geeta through the Indian High Commission in Pakistan. That is when on one of the photographs, Geeta zeroed in and said that perhaps Janardhan Mehto is her father. And because she is speech and hearing impaired, that's how through expressions she tried to signal in to those people at the ED Foundation who have been actually the second home and the second family to her in these last years that she strayed into Pakistan. Sanket?
Absolutely. But Smita, as you've been mentioning, the larger perspective as far as this story is concerned. Yes, it's about an individual who strayed into Pakistan, and now after 15 years, and it actually, surprisingly, Smita, wouldn't you agree, it actually took a very powerful tool, that is cinema, to bring forward her plight or her story in the public domain. It's the movie Bajrangi Bhaijaan, which is loosely based on perhaps Geeta's life, incidentally, has actually brought this particular case to the forefront, and that is why there is this emotive connect on both sides of the border.
Absolutely, Sanket. What is interesting is there was this movie which was actually co-produced by Indo-Pakistan directors some years back, which actually won several national awards and critical awards. It was called Ramchand Pakistani, which starred Nandita Das, and the story was actually written by a Pakistani who was also a former senator. That story also dealt with this precise issue of children crossing over accidentally into each other's space, and then the kind of ordeal that they have gone through. But clearly, Ramchand Pakistani lacked the presence of a Salman Khan, and it took a Salman Khan in Bajrangi Bhaijaan to drive home this message in a much more stronger way. At the end of the day, Pakistani citizen Ansar Barni, who's also a very international human rights activist, 3-4 years back when he came to India, he brought the story of Geeta with him, and that was also a point when news channels did feature this story, but not with the amount of drive that we now saw, because Sushma Swaraj also politically intervened. So a lot of elements actually went into the fact that the nationality of Geeta at least could be ascertained, even while there are hundreds of children whose files just keep doing the rounds between high commissions. They are not as lucky enough. So, and this at a time when India-Pakistan relations otherwise continue to sour, otherwise remain very hostile. There is firing still on the international border. So it's not like it's going to change the geostrategic aspect of the bilateral relationship, but it gives hope definitely when it comes to the people to people and the civil societies connect. Sanket?
Okay. Smita, do stay on with us. We'll also go across to Anindo Banerjee in just a short moment from now, and we'll connect with all our team of reporters who are tracking each and every detail of this story. This is no ordinary story. In fact, these are pictures, exclusive pictures on the left-hand side of your screen of Geeta being welcomed at the Indira Gandhi International Airport by all the members of the Pakistan High Commission as well as the Indian delegation, which is presently out there. In just a short moment, she's going to step out, and then she'll be taken care of in more ways than one. She will, in fact, be taken to a place where she will be accorded a lot of respect and honor. As Anindo just a short while back was telling us that many of these members are almost getting the privileges of being a state guest. In fact, this place where their plane has landed and the place from where they will be coming out, this is usually reserved for foreign dignitaries, and that has in fact been opened up for Geeta, because this, as we told you, is a story like no other. It's not an ordinary story. It is a story which has an emotional appeal and has actually managed to shake the conscience and also get the chatter going both in India as well as Pakistan. Anindo, let's see if we have Anindo still with us at this moment. Anindo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, Anindo, how much time, the same question that I asked just a short while back, how much time before she actually comes out? And if you can tell, for the benefit of our viewers who have just joined us, what is actually going to be on her agenda at this moment?
Sanket, right now, any moment from now, Geeta is expected from that area where all the flags, if my camera person can show you, behind that is the ceremonial lounge where from Geeta will step out along with a host of MEA officials as well as officials, high-ranking officials from the Pakistan embassy. Now, talking about her plan today, the moment she'll first meet the functionaries over there, and then she'll step out. She'll go to Jawaharlal Nehru Bhavan. In between, she'll give a blood sample which will go to All India Medical Science, because remember, there is not only one family, or almost 4 families have laid their claim on Geeta. So that will be handed over to the forensic department of All India Institute of Medical Science, led by Dr. Sudhir Gupta, who will in turn in 15 to 20 days ascertain that who Geeta actually belongs to. Now, then she'll meet the External Affairs Minister, who has been almost, we must say, a special word for Ms. Sushma Swaraj, because had it not been her, probably things like incidents like this wouldn't have come to fore and wouldn't have been solved in the first place. And then a press conference is due at around 3 p.m. and then later in the evening, Abdul Basir, the High Commissioner of Pakistan to India, along with his wife, will host Geeta along with some eminent persons of the society. Now, talking about this case particularly, Sanket, as Smita was rightly saying, that this has wider appeal, and this is wider appeal for the simple reason being that we are talking about a time when India and Pakistan relations are extremely strained, not only politically but also in terms of because we have seen the spat that has been going on in the UNGA and otherwise. So, an emotional aspect of it is that children do cross into each other's border, and these are beyond the purview of politics. And when things like this happen and government of both the countries respond to each other so humanitarianly, so that is a rare sight of the Indo-Pak relations, and probably that will open up to a new front of Indo-Pak relations from here on, and that's what we hope. Now, another side is that EDI Foundation, that has taken care of Geeta for the almost last 15 years. They have been there they have been the mother, the father, the sister, brother, and now they'll say goodbye from here on, and Geeta will lead her life along with his real parents. So that will be a very emotional moment. They're happy, yes, Klastra was saying earlier in the day that yes, they are happy that Geeta is going back to her real parents, but what about them, because who have nurtured Geeta from childhood to adolescent to youth, and now they'll hand over to the same Geeta who is actually Hira, not Geeta, and they have given the name Geeta. So it is a very emotional appeal and wider appeal to the international press as well, and that's why you see a lot of international press here, apart from the national press, who have gathered here, taking pictures and
absolutely.
Noting
no, at least that is the expectation, Anindo. The expectation, at least from India, is that this should be treated as a new beginning and hopefully will bring about some change in foreign policy as far as Pakistan is concerned, because India has been appealing to Pakistan a lot, putting pressure on Pakistan a lot to end and dismantle those terror outfits. There is hostility between the two countries initiated by Pakistan. Will initiatives like this actually improve the situation? However, there is a section here in India, also in the establishment, which feels that perhaps this is just a photo opportunity that Pakistan is engaging in, and that is not going to result in the larger cause that India is actually expecting. Let's stop for a short break at this moment. If we stick to this story, it's an emotional homecoming for Geeta. She has reached Delhi. She'll be coming out in just a short moment from now. We'll get you all the latest news and updates. Welcome back to our non-stop coverage right here. Geeta is now, she has reached the Indira Gandhi International Airport. These are pictures on the left-hand side of your screen of her reaching the airport and being greeted by officials of the Ministry of External Affairs as well as Pakistan High Commission officials. On the right-hand side, pictures from outside the airport where she's expected. These are the gates from where she's expected to see India Going back to those live pictures that are coming in at this moment from outside the Indira Gandhi International Airport, let's also cut across live to Smita Sharma, who joins us from the Ministry of External Affairs office. Smita, exactly the point that you were mentioning just a short while ago, which has got the Indian establishment a little worried about who the biological parents of Geeta actually are. Because the mother, as you can see, is claiming that she was married, while there is a theory that she was not married. She was very young when she crossed over, so she could not have possibly been married. Just take us through all these theories that are doing the rounds, and that is why the government coming to the conclusion that they will have to settle this with a DNA test.
Well, absolutely. You know, these are like the missing links in a jigsaw puzzle that people need to fit in, not just through assumptions and guesses, because this is about an individual and her life story here on, which is the reason why, you know, every piece needs to fit in. And, you know, all these discrepancies in the versions, whether Geeta is married, not married, what was the age at which she crossed over, if she had really crossed over when she was 11, as is the popular belief, one can imagine that she was a child bride, but to believe that she actually had given birth to a child as well by then comes across as very unbelievable. But you know, now this mother here, the claimed mother, she seems to suggest that Geeta was married, and it was actually from her in-laws' place that Geeta went missing. So you know, that's another new twist to the story that we are now hearing, because in the first place Geeta has been refuting. We have spoken to ED Foundation members, Faisal ED, through whom we have spoken to Geeta in the past, and she clearly, you know, didn't remember having been married ever. So, and the family is not being able to explain a very basic question of, you know, if they are based in a village in Bihar, how did Geeta actually manage to cross over into Pakistan? According to one of the brothers, that she was heading to Bihar, but she accidentally took a different train that took to Pakistan. One could perhaps understand, you know, that these are people who are not used to facing cameras, you know, they're not articulate
Absolutely.
people, they're from economically backward sections as well, so they're not used to maybe putting things right. So all you know that they actually might be saying the right thing, but not just expressing it in a all right way, which is the reason why Ministry of External Affairs wants to make sure through conclusive forensic lab evidence that Geeta indeed belongs to the family of Janardhan Mehto.
Very, very rightly said, Smita, there, because in a number of cases we have seen through the course of our reporting that a lot of people who are not comfortable facing the camera, they get intimidated, and that is why most of what they say it gets lost in translation, and that is why in a sensitive matter like this, a DNA test will be most conclusive. Thanks very much, Smita, for joining us at this moment. We'll come back after a short break. We'll stay with this story, and my colleague Gaurav Sawant will join us with all the latest.